Oh man, here we are. I'm pretty sure I have a cold and or allergies, so sorry about that. Neil, yeah, sorry I'm a little late. I was finishing up a few things before we go. It is the last day of school for my older kids. Um, the youngest one was done a while ago. When was she done? And so I've been preoccupied with that. I don't know if this is a cold and or allergies, but it's terrible. All right. Few things that I want to talk about. Today's episode is brought to you by uh probably let's dedicate today's episode to McMosive because he's the meaning in my life. He's the inspiration. He's definitely the inspiration between the generational curses and gifts. Um, and then I just threw up last night. I just threw up a bunch of ideas of things that I was talking about. I was talking with Sam. So part of the reason for the quality diviner versus the quantitative analyst is Sam was saying he's had multiple jobs where that's actually his title. What's up? From whom my blessings flow. Sam, right? Gents. Look at this. Local friend. Hello, friend. We're going to do 56 today. I think I can. Tell me. But are you Sam, right? Sam Ewing? Is this who that is? Chezi. Look at that. All my friends are here. So Sam Tiedemann has said that he's often been a quantitative analyst. And I said, that's just funny because I said, I'm more of a qualitative diviner. So maybe you got me sick, you jerk. I doubt that's true. I think it's my children, as is usual. So, I don't want to step on. Tell me if it's true. I think CBAX is premiering at 9, so I don't want to step on the toes of that, and that'll just be a pretty good cutoff for me to go do other things that I need to do today. So that's the Restomod thing is because at some point, can you see it in the title? I love Restomods. I think they're awesome. I think that let's look up some pictures. Here we go. Now we're talking. Someday I would love to get a Restomod. That's kind of the car that I want because I've realized. So I drive my main work car and our main family car and main car of our family in general is a 2004 Honda Pilot, which crossed 300,000 miles last year. When did we do last year? I think, or sometime during the winter, because I remember I was going out to pick up my kids from a church camp when I crossed the threshold, and I think it was like -12 or something. And it's been a great car, but what I've realized is I think new cars suck. I mean, they're cool in some ways, but they're just not something that's really important to me. Okay, here we go. This is a little rant. Something that's really important to me is back to the qualitative or quality diviner. I like quality stuff. I always have. I either buy things used largely or I buy nice things because I like nice things. Because I want things that are made. I feel like there's a big Reddit thread built for life. Buy it for life. That's what it is. Did I say 8 p.m.? No, I didn't say it was 8 p.m. Oh, 8 p.m. Yeah. I meant you're just back. You're behind the ball. And oh yeah, I forgot. Alan and Gents, you guys have met. Alan has met some of my in real life friends up at Northwestuary in Olympia, Washington. Okay, back to Restomods. I like quality things, and like a lot of things that are built today, there's built-in obsolescence, right? They're most things are designed and built to stop working, and you got to buy a new one because that's how we keep this monstrosity beast of a stock market globalist capitalism thing running. And like, all our publicly traded things, we got to just like keep the money going up, keep making more money, more dividends. I mean, here's the thing also, you can't be an environmentalist and participate in that economy. They're antithetical. They're completely opposed to each other. If you want to reduce, see, here's the thing, right? Back when we were taught the environmentalist thing at school, there was the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle. You know what? Green advertising and modern marketing and things never talk about? Reducing and reusing. And we know, like, what even is it? What percentage of recycling is bullshit? Let's look it up. What percentage of recycling actually gets recycled? The amount of recycling this is my brave AI search. The amount of recycling that actually gets recycled varies, but it's generally estimated around 21%. And I think somebody was just telling me this recently. I think actually a lot of that has to do with how clean things are, how well it's sorted, how easy it is to recycle it, because there's all these cost prohibitive things. And then the types of plastics, I think, because certain plastics, which I guess makes sense, there's the threads that make up the plastic, like when you break them all down and break them apart, sometimes if they're super thin or small, you can't really reuse them. They just end up, they end up as microplastics in our flippin' water. And then we drink them, and then it messes with our hormone levels, and birth rates plummet, and it's all part of enmity for the wound, right, Grimgriz? And it's all part of kind of that hideous strength, right? And that we just hate humanity and don't want them breeding. So yeah, RJ, you get it. So I'm a big fan of reducing and reusing. One of the big parts of reducing and reusing is I keep my 2004 Honda Pilot with 300,000 miles until the wheels fall off, or until it rusts out from under me because Minneapolis salts the roads everywhere. But I've taken care of that car really well for a long time. I change the oil myself. I use high quality oil filters and oil in it. I do regular maintenance on it. I take as good of care of it as I can. And hopefully, like the last time I took it in, the mechanic that I was speaking to, he said that he has a similar aged Honda Ridgeline, which he said has the same engine in it as my Pilot, and he said his Ridgeline that engine has 450,000 miles on it. 450,000, yeah, 450,000 miles. Apparently, Car Talk is making my viewership go down. I like cars. Sorry, I'm not like a super gearhead, but I do like cars. I was talking with, I don't know if they watch my channel, but I was interacting with him on Twitter. So Ken Lowry has a brother named Aaron who's been on his channel a few times. And Aaron and I follow each other on X. And I think he does car stuff. I think he like owns a shop. And so that's fun. I could maybe someday I'll get to meet him and get to go to his shop and check it out. Because anyhow, I have the dream of doing a resto mod. So I had this idea. Let's share screen of this. So one of the pickups that I grew up with. So my dad when I was young, my dad had a 1978 Chevy pickup. Let's look at that too. Oh, let's look at that here, actually. 19. Well, actually, let's do this first since we're already here. So my grandpa had a pickup. It was kind of just a ranch work truck, and it looked a lot like, nope, there weren't lights on top. It looked a lot like this guy, this blue one, except it was yellow. Let's go see if we can find a yellow one. Ooh, really close to this. Not quite this yellow. It was more like neon greeny yellow. More like, no, not like that one. More like this color. So this color, but with the yellow stripe. Hey, here we go. But this is an S10, I think. Anyhow, this style of pickup, and for some reason, I just really love 60s and 70s cars because I just think they're prettier. Some of the older cars are cool. I actually like Hyundai. I like the new look of Hyundai because they kind of look futuristic and cool. Chevy pickup. Let's look at this. So it was blue. So this was my dad's pickup. This is the car I grew up with. They look pretty similar. Chevy and GMC are pretty related, but I had a blue. And my dad, yeah, here we go. It was more like, I don't think it had a white stripe. I think it was basically, I think it was solid blue. So I think this one was kind of like my dad's pickup. You can't really see that. Can we see that? Are we sharing still? And that pickup we had until 1999. That was when I graduated high school, 2001. And that pickup was awesome. My dad bought it new when he was an iron worker, working as a connector in eastern Wyoming. And that was the pickup they had. And then he basically had no money until he could buy his new pickup in 99. So from 78 to 99 was pretty poor and below the poverty line, you know. And my dad had this pickup that I just grew up with all the time. I do remember once, this is a funny story with my dad. I think this is true. I think this is a true story. It seems like I'm making it up, but it was a manual. So it had like a stick shift in the middle that came up out of the floor, like in the middle of the car. And it was, big old, but like it was an open thing. So if you were sitting in the middle, which I often was, like the stick is sitting between your legs. That's the car I learned to drive stick on, out like in the pastures of western South Dakota with sod on like hills, trying to drive when my feet could barely reach the pedals when I was I was under 10, I'm sure. And it was hard. And my dad would just be like, don't grind the gears. And like, because you have to know how to drive and don't pop the clutch and all that stuff. But the gear shift on that car, I think my dad at one point, especially in his younger years, like my dad he's a fiery guy, passionate. And it's where I get a lot of it from. But with that came anger. And I think he ripped the head off of his gear shift one day because he welded on, because my dad also knew how to weld. Part of being an iron worker. He wasn't specifically a welder. He was a connector, but he knew how to weld. And he worked as one of his two jobs that he worked on to pay for the ranch. Basically, his first job was as a welder. And so he welded a different gear head on it. And it was like it was cool, actually. It like had grips for your fingers. So you could grip it like a handle. And it had like shimmery. It was some kind of what the heck do they call that? Sorry. It was some kind of it had like shiny speckles in it. Anyhow, it was sweet. But my grandpa, my dad's dad, had that 71 GMC, that yellow one. And my dad, when I got my first car, which was a 99 Honda Accord coupe manual as well. I miss having a manual. That's why I'd really love my new car to be a manual, because it's also theft prevention, because nobody knows how to drive manuals. So I had a Honda Accord forever, And so I think I want a manual. But what my dad wanted me to do in high school was to take this old 71 pickup and restore it. And for whatever reason, I don't know, at the time, I thought that was dumb. I wanted a car, whatever. You're a teenager, as I have teenagers now. They just, don't think their parents know anything. And so I didn't do that. But now I'm thinking, because I often need kind of a work truck or something to haul things around in, and I'm just like, the 71 GMC would be nostalgic. It would be an older car that you could fix and you could do you could update it. So like get, modern brakes. And when did fuel injection happen? Anyhow, you know what I mean? Like get all the modern things that make it drive better. But it's still like old school, so you could fix it. So anyhow, that's you will the new automatic or manual dual trannies. I've not heard of such a thing where you can be automatic or manual. I don't know that I like about that. See, that's the thing. It seems too complicated, too many parts. All right. Now let's talk about. Oh, so then college searches. I'm currently looking. Let's fulfill on that. We'll close out with Mo, the inspiration for this, and I'll open it up. Give myself 10 minutes. I got to limit myself here. So that's the Restomod, quality minor, quantitative analysis, college searches. So I'm really starting to look at colleges for my son, and trying to figure out what would be best for him. He's a big dreamer, but not very practical, like me. And I'm really thinking I want him to go to a great books school, just because I feel like if you read the great books of the Western canon, and some of these schools read other things, they'll read some things from the not Western canon, and either newer things a little bit, but then I think a lot of it is like they'll read some big big texts from Eastern traditions. I think what's great about that is if you go to a school where you read those books, and then somewhat you have a dialectical Socratic way of discussing those books, you're just going to learn how to think by necessity. I don't know how you could be at a school that has a dialectical teaching methodology where you read the good books and not somehow catch how to think by osmosis. Yeah, Al, you get it. Exactly. You get it. New brakes, old engines, and transmissions. No computers. Yeah. That's largely the idea. maybe great speakers and a sound system. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for him. I don't know. I asked Sam about this. There's a college outside of Chicago, because I'm Minneapolis. It's 5 hours away. It's Midwest, that does this exact kind of thing. I think it's called Shimer College. It's in, so if anybody knows about that, it's in, I think, what is it called? It got absorbed into North Central College. Like, it used to be its own independent thing, and then it got absorbed into this bigger college, and so it's a smaller program within a larger school, and it seems like a really cool option. I don't know, but we'll see. For those so inclined, thoughts and prayers for my son and for us as we think about that and try to find the best fit for him. It's hard for him to know who he is and what he wants to be, but that's why I think the Great Book School is a good option, because he doesn't really have to figure that out at the front end. And it really will help him to learn how to think well, which is, one would think, that's what we want people to do, rather than just being, tax slave consumers that we get from like the modern education system, which just is another thing that drives me nuts. So that's that, colleges, and then generational gifts and curses. So this is part of what McMo said. Also, yeah, Risen. St. John's is another big one we're looking at. St. John's is the one that always comes up. Annapolis, and they have one in Santa Fe. Those are just further away, but I've heard tons of good things. So, yep, Nate knows. And we've looked at Thomas Aquinas, but there's some Catholic schools which could be good options, but like I'm leery of rationalists in Catholic schools, which theoretically, one could argue they shouldn't be. They ought not to be. But you often find that a lot of Thomist type people and magisterially minded type people tend to be pretty rationalistic, which isn't my vibe, I actually want to answer this, Sam. We'll talk about this in a little bit. But generational curses and blessings, and maybe it'll tie into this, and then I'll put the invite out. So McMo, I was interacting with McMo the other day about, what was it? Nathan. Oh, yeah. So Nathan and Shelley, our own TLC Nathan and Shelley, some people who are actually being procreative, and they met, they married, and they have children through the TLC of your own understanding. And he was tweeting, or he reposted something on X the other day of like these. It just was boggling my mind, and I shared it with a bunch of people. And essentially, like, what it came out of it is these are just very young, very online Zoomer type, probably theologically and philosophically inclined young men. And McMo, hopefully you won't care that I would share this. I don't know. I haven't seen you in the comments, but your main takeaway from those comments that I shared with you was something like, I should go get my phone. Also, this is my ginger beer. Look at, I want to share it. Let's listen together as I open it. Hopefully it won't overflow. Oh, you hear that carbonation, that little fizz? Oh. Yeah, I think we're getting a little bubbly. It's so gingery. I'll show you this too. So I highly recommend doing this. This is just a lot of fun. So these are my things. This is my ginger bug. Look at it. Look at all that ginger in there. Just, gingering up, naturally fermenting. Sarah Hardy has said, just wait till social media gets the Willy Wonka smell-o-vision, because dang. I mean, this is a ginger bomb. So this is my bug, which is like a mother. It's like a sourdough mother. It's the culture that has like the most yeast fermenting, rocking going on. You can see at the top. Can you see the bubbling? It's definitely bubbly up top, because the skins on the ginger have natural yeasts, and you add sugar and ginger to it daily, which I need to do after this, and you get just some fermenty goodness going on there. And then this is my ginger beer. This is my big like gallon thing of ginger beer stuff, where you take your bug, some lemon juice, a bunch more fresh ginger, sugar, combine it all up with a cup of your ginger starter. May 1st, that's when I started doing all this. And then you let that brew until it's ready. And then you filter and bottle it up. And then you have this delicious probiotic ginger beer. It's really good for you. Okay, let's move these to the side. Give it some sniff. Give it a sniffy sniff. Gary Vaynerchuk, wine library reference. For those who know, you know. And all right, where were we? Generational blessings and curses. I don't want to put McMo on blast, so I want to see what he said. Oh, I also got other messages going on. Gents is apparently messaging me about colleges right now. McMo said, oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, he said these dudes got to be young, COVID teens, I imagine. Um, Now I think, and now this is true. I really want to know. I can leak. Thank you. God, you're here good. So he said, I really don't think kids get bullied anymore, like ever. And I think it's pretty rare. And again, to be blessed is to be cursed as well. All blessings are curses, and everything is a gift if you receive it as a gift. So these kids aren't bullied. Is it good? But as Louis C.K. said, but maybe, but maybe, maybe there are negatives to not being bullied, And he said, not saying it's a bad thing, but they're also not beholden to social standards because none of it has been enforced. There you go. That's true. They've never been in a fight, and it shows. I'm serious about this. The millennials are surrounded on all sides by generations that are that are struggling. Now, I'm a millennial. I'm an elder millennial, and so I relate to Gen X, people who are definitely bullied, and older generations, which were definitely bullied. I grew up with parents, like I was saying, like my father, who ripped the head off of his stick shift one day when he was upset, chucked it out the window, probably. My dad is wonderful. I don't know. My dad is he's like the unbearable lightness of being. He's heavy and light. He's very playful, but he's also very intense, especially when he was younger, and that's like what do you want? I owe a lot to that man. So, part of what made him so hard was what made him bust his ass, and where we ended up middle class, which just like wouldn't have happened without him just like blood, sweat, and tears for 20 plus years. So, so anyhow, but like being bullied, I've often said that's one of the greatest gifts that my dad ever gave me is I like most of my anxiety and most of the things that I realize now that I'm coming into awareness now, I never really had growing up because it was all repressed because I was just too damn scared of my dad. And that was a gift. It kind of was. So like and I see this even in my own kids. I mean, this is something I kind of want, like they just, and part of it is looking at broader trends, and also part of it is looking at particularities because we're always dealing with both. And like my kids don't I mean, no one really does. It's a very mature thing, I think, to handle criticism well. Um, I mean, I don't know. Can you think of a greater metric of maturity than someone who handles criticism well? Holy cow. Like that's a big one. If you can, from both well-meaning, well-intentioned, steel manning, maybe even star manning type people, and also people who straw man you, who perhaps are jealous and resentful of you, who don't want your good. Can you accept criticism from all of those groups with humility and take what God is trying to tell you through it and learn and grow and repent and change and evolve? Man, that's some maturity right there. And I hope I model that for my children. But at this point in my life, I wouldn't say that they're particularly gifted at handling criticism well. Actually, my son, for a 17-year-old, is not in the moment, maybe not, but largely he's pretty good at that. He's got some real strengths that benefit him. One is that he's absent-minded, but he's also simultaneously almost impossible of resentment, incapable of resentment, and he forgives well, and that's good because he who is forgiven much loves much, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. So that's good. But like if you can't handle criticism, and I often say this to my kids, I'm just like, I want what's best for you. Like my son told me once, which he heard somewhere, probably on some like reel or YouTube short or something. But he said, your father, maybe your grandfather, are two of the only men in the world who maybe want you to be better than they were. Like That's powerful if you can really remember it. And Lord have mercy for the fathers who don't want their sons to be better than they were and their daughters to be better off and, more mature than they were, who don't see themselves in a competition with their children. And depending, sometimes I can. So like those are all good things, but like I don't know. I'm so interested in the generational stuff. Like I love CBAX, I know, which is why I gotta shut this down at 9. When CBAX did his conversation with the Zoomers, Joseph Lambrick, my boy from outside of Minneapolis here. I think technically is he a Zoomer? Like he's a Zoomer who got married pretty young, having a lot of kids, really accepting a lot of responsibility, becoming a deacon. Has a job. I think has a house, all that stuff. Like he's, and he's a Midwesterner. I mean, Midwesterners are just pretty great. I like Midwesterners. There are things about my culture I like. Midwesterners are kind of down to earth, common sense, hardworking people. But there's so much to talk. There's so much to talk about with generational stuff. I don't know. And then the last thing I want to talk about with McMo, because it was like powerful, and I think it's a valid thing to think about. But McMo kind of posited this, and not to steal your idea. I mean, there's a lot that could be talked about with it, so I'm not like stealing it. But you were talking to me about it. But what if we start thinking of like what is a Christian as instead of within confessional bounds and self-identity and what doctrines do you adhere to, or like what religious rituals do you submit to, whether you're liturgical or not? What if we start thinking of like who we consider to be Christians, of people that we're willing to die for and beside, to be martyred with? That's an intense thought to think about. And somewhat that's an aspirational thing, because who are you willing to die for? I don't know. It's who would you be at the time of testing? Would you be like the disciples? Would you be like Peter and deny him 3 times, or Judas be the one to betray him, or silence? Would you step on the fumi and apostatize for whatever reason, perhaps good or bad? And what does it mean to apostatize, to betray Christ? I would say to betray Christ, it means to not harrow hell and to give yourself up and to consider yourself accursed for the sake of your brethren. If you're not willing to do that, that's apostasy. So essentially, if you're not willing to die for not only your brother, but your enemies. So man, I mean, so then essentially, if you're willing to die for everyone up to and including your enemies, who is a Christian on McMo's topic, Uh, what is that line? I just saw make your vows to. There's some line from Orthodoxy. What part is it? It's any other Orthodox people in here who know liturgical stuff more than me? Don't we say like make your vows before the Lord our God? Making your vows before the Lord your God. Yeah, Nate. Exactly. Seems connected to the definition I always give. A Christian is one who conforms to the pattern of Christ. All other markers are unimportant. And it also reminds me of something that a local deacon friend, my friend Josh, has told me about. Deacon Joshua, that Orthodoxy often they try to think about things in terms of the patristic ordo, which means you reason from I should say this on my phone because I never remember it. But essentially your reasoning should start from the person to the nature, to the qualities. I think that's how it works, not inverse. Like you don't reason to the person to understand the person. You start with the person, which is why you start with Christ. I decided to know nothing among you except Jesus Christ and him crucified. O foolish Galatians, who has bewitched you? All right. I'm going to post this bad boy. CBAX. You're still premiering at 9. That means I'm shutting this down in 20 minutes. So there's the link. I'm going to pin it. People can come in and talk. And then I'm going to go. All right. Pinning. Where are we at? Sometimes, why can't I click on my own business? You know what I mean? Sometimes when I go into live, it won't let me click on it, which is weird. All right, let's look at some comments. Oh, Nate. Hello, buddy.
I think since you're killing it quickly anyway, that's great because I'm recording with Stan in 20 minutes. So.
Oh, perfect.
But
Good.
I figured I'd come and say hi.
With Sam Tiedemann?
Yeah.
What are you guys talking about?
Liberalism. We're finally having we've been talking about having a conversation about liberalism for quite a while. Interesting that it's interesting after the news day yesterday. It's a very interesting day to be having that conversation.
Well, yeah. So this is off topic, but I'm curious enough, and being the head of this thing, I can do whatever the hell I want. What do you think about what happened yesterday?
Do you really want me to tell you what I really think, or do you want me to?
Yeah.
I think that I was right, and other people who were talking about it were right, and this was a woke right coup. That's in the beginning stages. That
by Elon.
That it's not just Elon, but Elon is a part of the coup. That Trump is going to be replaced with a Catholic integralist, J.D. Vance.
Oh, you think this is like some long-term plan?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Strategy thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I've been telling people. I've been telling people privately in a way that is not like I wouldn't stake my life on it, but I have a very strong intuition that JD Vance may well be the Antichrist. Like, I really don't like JD Vance.
Wow. Okay.
And when I saw this actually happening in the news, it's just like, oh no, I don't want to be right. It's not something I want to be right about. But
his background makes me want to like him so much.
But here's the thing, though. It's actually his background is one of, for me, it's a strike against them because this is the thing. He's something of a Girard scholar. I mean, I'm not really a scholar. He's not a professional scholar, but he's read a lot of Girard. He studies Girard. Right?
Okay, I didn't know that. You're talking about Vance, not because Steele has as well.
Vance. Yeah. And anyone who studies Girard knows that the scapegoat mechanism works because it's a satanic mechanism. But J.D. Vance uses it consciously to advance himself politically. Now, someone who knows Girard and then would engage in the cynical use of a Girardian theory for their own political gain, what would you say about the character of someone like that?
Yeah, I think if you're playing into because I mean Vance, that is a struggle for me. I don't have a ton of knowledge to base this on because I don't really follow politics. I mean, only peripherally. Like, I basically only hear about it if corner people are talking about it. Because truly, I mean, it's not just like I'm trying to stay true to my own ideological convictions.
Yeah, I've ignored politics mostly for most of the last 10 years.
Right, but it's also just because I don't care. And I really think there's a lot of value in not paying attention to it. I wish most people would, and it would strip it of its power. But he does, the little that I've seen, he does play. To be a Christian politician would just be like, I'm trying to think of an example of almost something that's happened recently. It would be like real, legitimate, humble. It's kind of like what I was talking about earlier. Taking criticism from people that not only steelman and starman you, but like strawman you with humility, not playing the tit for tat back and forth thing, which I don't know. I can't even think of a politician that does that. So I don't know. I also love how we're talking about politics in the middle of my stream. I mean,
You're
people will.
you asked.
I know,
I
but
wasn't going to bring it up.
People in TLC will probably find it because it's also annoying to me that like this is the stuff that gets people really animated and riled up, and I'm like, it's just showing you idolatry, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Christian, what
Hey,
up?
Christian.
Hey guys. Hey Nate. So who's the Benny Gesserit? Is it Peter Thiel? Peter Thiel's the
I don't
Benny
even know
Gesserit.
what that is.
It's from Dune.
I don't.
They're
Yeah. I mean, like all signs point to Teal being like kind of the one who's like
And
kind of the.
he's the Gerardian too, right?
Oh, they're
Yeah.
like the witches. The like,
They put in like prophecies. Like.
Well, I know some other Gerardians who believe that, like, who really don't like Teal because they believe that he's actually used Gerard's ideas in order to make himself rich, and to play the market. So
that's unbelievable to me, because like that's the thing with Teal. I've always known about him, and especially my libertarian phases, I admired aspects of him, but I've never resonated with him.
Teal says more of the right things. Like, I don't see, like, when he actually talks about Gerard, he's usually right.
Yeah.
He was right to push back on Peterson's idea of sacrifice. So it's like, I don't know. It's like Teal is the guy with the money and the influence and the kind of secret influence that could be the guy that was doing that kind of thing behind the scenes. But I don't know. Teal, I'm less suspect of the character of Teal than I am of Vance.
Teal, I mean, he's the kingmaker in a sense. He's the one that he took Vance and had him like Vance worked for Palantir or whatever.
Yep.
He did?
Yeah.
I think I'm just gonna have to get there that like Teal is maybe just better at masking what his real intentions are than Vance is, but
he's more like an autist in his presentation.
Yeah.
So, I just don't understand how one could be so duplicitous. Is it just because you rationalize it and say like, well, I'm doing all these things strategically? Is it because you're the benevolent dictator for the good?
Hold on a second. I just want to. There's a point. There was a point in the local conversation where it's like I expressed to him my misgivings about JD Vance, which he shares, but he thinks that Vance has been controlled. He at the time his position was Vance has been brought into the Trump fold. He's going to be fine, but based on what's happening now, like we can say that I think Wokel's a very smart guy. But I think his initial analysis may have been wishful thinking, and no, he has not been brought into the Trump fold. And clearly, he is the figurehead for a group of people who are trying to seize control of the American system. And
so these technocratic oligarchs turn against Trump,
against everything that is American. What was that?
I said, if these like technocratic oligarchs turn against Trump, then will the progressivists start liking him again?
Maybe. I don't know.
Or not again. They probably never really liked him.
I don't know. I never thought I would be rooting for Trump like as hard as I am right now.
The main thing I've always liked about Trump is that I don't think he's controllable and beholden to certain interests. He's just like an old school nationalistic capitalist.
I think he's controllable in a certain way to the populace. Like I think he
likes being liked.
Yeah. His ego. Yeah.
His ego. But not in the same ways that he just in this example with him and Elon, you would think you'd want to be liked by the most amazing, innovative character of our time. But there are other powers that he, I guess, is more interested in, and maybe it's the power of his name being on the beautiful bill.
So here's the other thing about in the Trump. This is the other area that I side with Elon is actually on the practical matter that the fight is about, because extreme debt paranoia is the biggest bullshit it's the biggest bullshit scam that there is. because Elon says he doesn't want America to go bankrupt. Who's bankrupting us? It's not like we're like a private household that has like exceeded its budget. That's not how it works. We could reduce the interest to our debt to zero if we wanted to. It's make believe. The only thing that matters is whether we have the real, tangible, physical assets that we want. Everything else is digital bullshit. And he wants to enslave us to digital bullshit. Oh, wait a minute. That's consistent with his overall vision. Enslaving us to digital bullshit.
Do you think this is digital bullshit, Christian? Is that what you're getting at? My stream is digital bullshit?
It's all much more ephemeral than what we have to live. Supposedly, though, what we all have to live and breathe and bump into in our lives. But I mean, it has meaning and it has effect. Luke's out.
Yeah.
What was Luke's point of this stream? We got 10 minutes. What's his
he's not, I don't know. He opened the door to going way off topic, unfortunately.
I did.
I had no intention. He was talking about off
topic if I want.
He was talking about he was talking about cool old stuff and inheritance of things from our ancestors and all kinds of stuff that's way more interesting than any. No, well,
I was talking about Restomods and pickups a lot, and the pickups of my grandfather and father. That's what I was talking a lot about. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting to think about those things and talk about those things to some degree, but I'm more curious. I guess the reason I get curious about politics is because it does relate to us in our life, but then even for TLC purposes, it has. Like I'm really excited for you and Sam's conversation and what you're going to say. And I'm sad that I can't be involved, but then also sometimes I'm happy that I'm not involved because I don't know. When different people are in conversations, their spirit affects it. And sometimes when I'm in conversations, like they can have a tendency to get pretty looky. And I'm just like, I don't need, like, I have enough of me. I want to hear what other people have to say. Yeah. And so I'm excited for your conversation, but like even the idea of, one of the big things I've been thinking about recently is Christian identity. And then very tied to that, conversations you and I've had is like Christian nationalism.
Right.
And how you almost think it's like an oxymoron.
I think, well, one of the things I can predict is like, okay, so why would Sam be invested in liberalism as a system? Well, he's part of a religious minority. And if you're part of a religious minority, then keeping around solid liberal ideas like religious tolerance might be important to you, and you might think it's a good thing because it allows you to continue to practice your beliefs in freedom and not to be worried about it. And so I think Stan would probably have even more reasons. Like theologically, I'm pretty Catholic. So it's not like my objection to having a Catholic integralist leaning government has nothing to do with the Catholic part of it. It's the integralist part, because mistaking the role of the state and the role of the church and thinking that they belong together is a fatal mistake.
Yeah.
It's a fatal mistake that does nothing but corrupt the church in the process. So,
yeah, I was talking to somebody about the idea of the two-headed eagle.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's within Orthodoxy,
right?
Where they're part of the same reality, but they have two different, like, I don't know,
heads.
Whatever the illustration says, yeah, two different heads, and they're not trying to squeeze one into the other. Vice versa, I guess.
Matt, we have 5 minutes.
It's like Arius.
That's funny.
I wasn't going to come on, but then you guys started talking about the things Nate and I were chatting about at dinner together earlier this week.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, right? And that was before the news broke yesterday. So.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's relevant. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, it's challenging. So what's funny is like we're so invested in humane uses for the internet that we often have our best conversations offline or in unrecorded sessions, which is very humane, but it's hard to reference them.
Yeah,
Which is what the internet has trained us to do. It's like, have you seen my conversation with Sam Tiedemann yet? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's not a phrase that you would use until 5 seconds ago. So it's challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I don't know, well, so to that point, yes, I think that's true, and like there are blessings and curses of every medium, like live streams. Like I've said this before, and I think it's largely true, although I'm sure I'm not like 100% self-aware, unfortunately. So
You're not?
no. So but I think I'm largely the same in almost all mediums. Like, I mean, I'm a little bit more private, I suppose.
If you were 100% self-aware, then you would be in final participation already.
Yeah, I know, Nate. I'm close. I'm
But
real close.
that's the work is to make as much that you are unconscious of conscious as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
And bring it into the light of consciousness.
So these mediums don't. I feel like I have a lot of the same conversation, but there is something different about sitting down in real life over a meal with people, which is why, I guess that can be a little advertisement for Midwestuary, Chicago. Excited about it. A bunch of people can meet my family, hopefully some friends, meet myself. Yeah, I was going to say something about liberalism, but I'll maybe save all that for Nate and Sam's conversation.
Speaking of which, I should probably get ditched right now and go and join Sam in a different StreamYard studio.
Can you do multiple at the same time?
Yeah, actually, I've tested this. I've had Sherry doing a stream at the same time that I was doing a recording, so I know that works.
Okay.
It was the vocal conversation that was. Sherry was actually doing the On Fairy Story series at the same time I was recording the conversation with Wokel.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's do quick final words and shut her down because Christian's going to be premiering.
Generational gifts and curses. College I can't even read your whole title.
College searches, Restomods, quality diviner versus quantitative analyst.
That's. I don't know if I have anything substantive to say other than I enjoyed Nate's Benny Gesserit claim this morning.
Nice. Matt, you give us the last word. Nate and I have already talked enough.
I think this quarter in particular, Grail Country, I said this in an unrecorded space, aka Nate's dining room earlier this week. But I think what are the things that this quarter is going to be doing in the very near future, maybe starting right now, is making liberalism intellectually satisfying for online audiences, for internet communities. It's going to be small L liberalism is going to be cool again, and it's going to take weirdo forerunners like people here who are shamanistic and strange enough to be comfortable with tensions and paradoxes to be able to make that happen. Anyone else is not going to be able to pull it off.
On that note, Marcus Shira, the Corner's resident economist, and I are going to renew our series on Bulgakov's philosophy of economy. And I think that is a key to this kind of like deeper personalist understanding of liberalism that will actually reinforce liberalism to be more of what it is naturally and make it better and more achieve its possibilities than liberalism that is artificially wedded to individualism, which is actually not its foundations.
Okay. Couldn't have closed it out better myself. That's it, gentlemen.
Nice.
Ending stream.